Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Lexa Peterson. And joining us today from the Australian Army is Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Whale. This evening, we warmly welcome Group Captain Retired Bruce Chandler, representing the Air Force Association. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of the Assumption Catholic Primary School, Bathurst, New South Wales. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed at the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved. And here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament. Flowers of the forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Air Mechanic Class 2, William Douglas Sloane. William Sloane was born on the 4th of June 1890 in the town of Mulwala on the banks of the Murray River in New South Wales. He was the youngest of 3 sons born to local grazier James Sloane and his wife Amy. William received his education as a boarder at Geelong College, where he was a sergeant in the senior cadets and a keen sportsman. As a young adult, he received further education at the Vulcan Foundry and also at the Working Men's College, both located in Geelong. When the First World War broke out in 1914, Sloane was working as a motor mechanic and building an aeroplane at his home near Corowa. Sloane enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 2nd of October 1916. With his interest in aeronautics and his trade background as a motor mechanic, he was assigned to the No. 2 Squadron of the Australian Flying Corps. He was sent to Point Cook, where a flying school had been established. There he completed further training and was assigned to the rank of Air Mechanic. He embarked for active service from Melbourne in late October on board the troop ship Ulysses. Sloane arrived in England at the end of December 1917. The following month, he was sent on a 1-month course to become a fitter. These mechanics were responsible for repairing and maintaining the engines of an aircraft, working alongside riggers who were responsible for the aircraft's frame. On completion of the fitter's course, he rejoined his squadron at their base near Waddington. In July 1917, he was sent on command to Armament School at Perryvale before returning to his unit in August. Sloane was scheduled to go to France alongside his pilot, Lieutenant Frank Shapira. They took off on the morning of the 21st of August with Sloane in the observer's seat. Encountering some slight engine trouble, the pair landed at a nearby aerodrome at Biggin Hill in Kent. Their mechanics serviced the engine while Sloane and Shapira both broke for lunch. Returning to their plane to take off, everything appeared to be running well, and the 2 men again set off for France. But when they reached the height of about 600 feet, the machine began to spin out in flat circles before crashing to the ground in a spinning nosedive. The accident was recounted in a report given to the Red Cross. Immediately an ambulance and a light tender proceeded to the site of the crash, and we lost no time in getting there, but we were unable to do anything for them. The machine was blazing end to end, and it was impossible for us to approach. A man who was working in the field in which they fell tried to drag them out with a long-handled hay rake, but it was obvious that they were dead and he gave up the attempt. One of Sloane's comrades later reflected on his death in a letter home. The boys feel very sad about his death, and the news came through so suddenly. Only about 6 hours after we boys had shaken hands with them and waved them off. Air Mechanic William Sloane was buried at London's Brookwood Cemetery with full military honours on the 25th of August 1917. He was 27 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photography is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told by the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Air Mechanic Class 2, William Douglas Sloane, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and for the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.